name's Rich Harrington, and welcome to this edition of Understanding Adobe Photoshop. Today, we're going to tackle a more advanced use of the Levels command. Now, normally you use Levels to fix exposure. However, you can also use it to fix color cast problems. A lot of times if the white balance is off on your camera or you're under a very strong colored light, you might pick up some color cast where the image is inadvertently tinted in one direction that you don't want. Fortunately, Levels can not only balance out exposure, but balance out individual channels, allowing you to fix these sorts of problems. Here's how. Now, I've got an image open, and I'm going to add an adjustment layer for Levels. In doing that, you see that it applies a global adjustment, and we can, of course, adjust the exposure here with the midtones, pulling that up or down. But if you look at this image, there are definitely color casts. Notice that both the white and the blacks have a very greenish tint, indicating this was shot under the wrong white balance, which is quite easy to do if you're playing with the camera settings and running and gunning, maybe switching from indoors to outdoors and changing lighting conditions. Well, fortunately, there are some eyedroppers here, and we can go ahead and click on this black eyedropper and find something that should be black, like her hat. And notice how the blacks are now remapped back to a pure black. And I'll take the white eyedropper and click on something that should be white, and that fixes that as well. Now, the image already looks dramatically better, but we can go ahead and refine this a bit. Those eyedroppers sort of automatically make adjustments. You then want to go back through and back them off or tweak them a bit to taste. I'm going to call up the histogram panel so we can see what's happening here. And let's just click this. We'll go ahead and switch this to show the expanded view is fine. We'll go ahead and make sure we're showing the all channels view. And I'm going to set this top one to the RGB. And that works pretty well. Down here, we're looking at the image. And what I want to make sure of is that we tweak this a bit. Now, inside this adjustment, notice that individual sliders are available for the red, green, and blue channel. And think of this histogram as a teeter-totter. What you essentially want to do is put the white point at the right edge of the mountain and the left point at the left edge, and then move the middle slider to balance it out. So clicking with the auto drops did that, but I'm going to back this off just a tad because it was a little strong, and then move this to balance the image. Notice we're putting more or less red into the image. Go too far, the skin tones look unnatural. Not far enough, they're still green. That's looking pretty good. And you're going to go through and do this for each histogram individually. Now, I'm going to ignore this little spike here and instead treat this as the actual data and just call this color cast at each end. Moving the middle slider to balance it out. There we go. And find the correct balance here for the blues. That looks good. Now, don't be surprised if you go back through with a second pass. First time through, you're tweaking. Second time through, you're making fine adjustments. So it's okay to go back to the red channel there and just play with that a little bit until you get the right skin tones. And I think that looks pretty good. Now, once I'm all set there, I could switch back to the RGB view and grab the middle slider to adjust the overall gamma and the black slider to tweak contrast. And already that's looking dramatically better. Let's just toggle that off and on. You see our original image and our new image. The blacks and the white points have been fixed, and we've definitely removed the color cast. So there you have it, the Levels command put to a double use, fixing both color and exposure problems all within a single adjustment. For Understanding Adobe Photoshop, my name's Rich Harrington.